Good.
Okay, good evening. It is a sad day in Kootenai County. Very, very sad. Today, we're going to go over the timeline. We're going to introduce everybody that's up here. Chairman of the VOCC is Bruce Matari. We have Lieutenant Jess Stinson from the Idaho State Police. We have Bill DeRuyter from the Orland Police Department. And we have Pete Hulley from the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. And we're going to go through a quick timeline. This is still a very, very fresh investigation, so an incident. So many of these facts might change, but they are evolving as we speak. At approximately 1:21 this afternoon, we received a phone call that there was a fire on the backside or east side of Canfield Mountain. Fire assets responded to the scene, and at approximately 2 o'clock, firefighters broadcast that they were being shot at on Canfield Mountain. During that next hour and a half, where we have assets that are responding to the aid of these firefighters, we still have an active fire. We are managing about 17,000 square foot containment area. We are requesting other law enforcement agencies to assist us. We had a great response. We had the Spokane County Sheriff's Office responded in force, the Spokane Police, the Coeur d'Alene Police Department, the FBI, many agencies responded right here in Idaho, Bonner County, Shoshone County, Kellogg. So we had about 300 law enforcement officers that were on scene that were trying to make heads and tails out of what was occurring. And during this time, we exchanged gunfire with the suspect, and we also got information. We received information from the White House, from Kash Patel, the FBI, from Governor Brad Little, and also Raul Labrador, that anything that we needed, that they would absolutely receive. So we had a lot of assets that came into that command post. And then we had a briefing about 6:30, about 18:30 hours at the command post. And in that briefing, we kind of gave an update to the agencies that this is still an active shooter, and that as soon as this individual can be neutralized, that he should be neutralized, and the threat should be eliminated as quickly as possible. At approximately 1940 hours, we did have information that let me back up just a second. We had a cell phone activation that was in the same spot since about 3:16. And that it was in the same area, and we honed in on that cell phone, and we saw that there was a male appeared to be deceased with a weapon nearby. So we have currently one dead shooter. Based on the preliminary investigation that was being conducted, keep in mind we had a fire that was rapidly it was approaching the body, so we had to scoop up that body, and we had to transport that body to a different location. But based on the preliminary information, we believe that is the only shooter that was on that mountain at that time. So there is no threat to the community at this time. Based on the trajectory and based on the type of weapons that this individual had that we could recover, we believe only the one shooter. We did lose a Coeur d'Alene firefighter, and we did lose a firefighter from the Kootenai County Fire and Rescue. We have another firefighter that just came out of surgery from the Kootenai Police Department. I'm sorry, from the Kootenai Fire Department. Right? Is that true? Okay. He just came out of surgery. He is fighting for his life, but he's in stable condition. So we knew that our resources were exhausted. That if this were to prolong into a 24 or 48-hour operation, we need additional helicopters. We had 2 helicopters that were up, and we had snipers in them. So if they had an opportunity to take a shot, then we wanted them to take that shot. We wanted to neutralize that threat. And Chief, is there anything you'd like to say, or do you want to take questions? Okay. Right now, like I said, this information is very, very preliminary. And if you have questions, just ask who you'd like that question directed to, and we'll try to answer it.
About the spokesman review, this is just for the fire personnel. Are you able to share anything about these firefighters, if they, just trying to, anything about them at all, and their identities, what the fire department is doing right now to assist the rest of their brothers who lost these guys, or is there anything else you can give us?
We are not going to name the firefighters at this time, and there was a procession from Kootenai Health to the Spokane Coroner's office, but their families will be supported.
Aiden Brown, Crim 2 News. You mentioned 3 firefighters that, have been shot. Was there any other first responders or personnel that were injured during this operation?
No.
No.
As of right now, those are the only 3 that we have. We believe that everybody is off the mountain, so any civilians that were hiking during that time, we believe it's likely, had they been injured, they would have came forward.
There was a belief at some point that there could have potentially have been a second shooter. I know that you're still early, but you have been able to essentially eliminate that thought process.
And we believe, based on the information that we've been able to collect, that we believe that there was only one shooter. And we based it on the weapons that we found at the scene, the type of injuries that were incurred by that weapon. So as of right now, from a very preliminary determination, we believe that there was only one shooter.
And I know it's early, but do we have any sort of background on this person or any motive?
Still? Black, sure.
Aaron from Range Media. Do we know if the person, you just said we don't have any background on him, do we know if he's possibly from here, or did he move here and we don't know the identity?
We need to wait until a positive identification is made.
Thank you.
Did the suspect shoot himself? Do we know that?
We don't know at this point in time. So the coroner's office will conduct their investigation. So as of right now, we don't know.
Eliza Billingham, Spokane Public Radio. Are you able to give any insight on if you think there was a connection between the fire and the shooting?
We do believe that the suspect started the fire, and we do believe that it was an ambush and it was intentional. And we do believe that he started it, and it was totally intentional what he did. In the back there in the tent.
Did he make the 911 call?
There was a gentleman that made the 911 call. He did not identify himself as the shooter. So as of right now, we don't believe that he's the one that made the 911 call. But, that could change, because many times people don't use their real names and what have you, so.
Any description of the suspect at all?
Not at this time, no.
so why, does the fire present any problems with you as you're trying to collect evidence?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we scooped up that body, and as far as the preservation of the scene, you know, it's not perfect in this particular situation, but it's something that had to be done. So you have to evaluate each particular circumstance, and at this time, we felt like since the fire was approaching, we needed to scoop up that body. It's contained, so there are law enforcement personnel that are up there, and we will conduct the investigation, continue it tomorrow morning. Crews will be there all night. So, you know, it's compromised, sure, but we have to do what we have to do to preserve the body. So,
What was the weapon?
Like I said, we don't know if there's more weapons up there that he had. There is a belief that he ran and shot. So we don't know what we might be collecting once the fire threat diminishes. The gentleman in the black shirt?
Are other federal agencies still involved?
Absolutely. Yeah, we, you know, on a large operation like this, if we had to fuel helicopters, and there are some helicopters that had some really good technology that were able to pinpoint where that cell phone activity was. So yeah, there was our federal partners assisted us in this situation.
What location were we dealing with? Did you find the suspect?
Not too far from the original call for service. Yeah. Not too far. Anybody I haven't called on? All right, gentleman in the black shirt.
You said you picked up the cell phone signal around 3:16, I believe?
Yes.
How long was it between that signal that you got and you were able to recover the body?
It's about an hour and a half.
Okay. So maybe around 5-ish?
Right.
So you did say there was a gun found, a weapon, correct?
Correct.
What kind was that?
We're not releasing that right now, just because we had to scoop everything up so quickly. We could not preserve the scene like traditionally we would like to. So we believe that there's a likelihood that when we are able to enter the scene again tomorrow without the threat of fire, that we'll find other weapons that were placed. This was a total ambush. These firefighters did not have a chance.
Sheriff Garrett, with the spokesman review, can you just describe the terrain and how difficult it was, or maybe how simple it was to access that area?
You know, when you have an environment where you don't know where the bullets are coming from because of the trees and the shrubbery and what have you, it is daunting for police officers, let alone firefighters who are there just to put out the fire. So it's very, very difficult. Very difficult for drones or helicopters to see any individuals up there. So this was a total ambush, taken by surprise, and it's unfortunate.
Sure. Firefighters deal with ambush, I mean, police deal with ambush all the time, but firefighters, are they trained in that type of situation?
No, this is something that we don't train for. It's not something we expect. It's not something our firefighters should have to deal with. In this situation, they were called to a grass fire, which is already something that we're very heightened and are anxious about this time of year. And they were doing everything the way that they were supposed to do it.
Can we get an update on the fire? Do you have any sort of acreage or containment information?
It's about 20 acres, but unfortunately, you know, we weren't able to put any resources on it because of the gunfire exchange. So, ma'am, in the white there.
Sheriff Doris, Regan with Crime 2. This is the week of 4th of July. First responders are already on defense with, this coming week. Just emotionally tell me how it feels to have something happen like this, especially with, such important authorities that are super important for a week like this too.
Yeah, I haven't, it hasn't sunk in yet. I mean, this is a situation where I don't even think a lot of us in this room has processed this. So, this community supports firefighters and law enforcement.
Any structures lost in the
No,
fire?
not at this time, no.
Is there any specific information about the actual location of where the shooter was at? Like, is there like, I don't want to say like an address, but like maybe like coordinates or anything like that?
We might be able to get that for you later, but I don't have that information.
Okay,
yet.
I'll call later. Thank you.
I would like to say something. There was some information that was broadcasted on social media, and it's very, very important. You know, these firefighters and police officers, in some cases, have family, and for some of this information to have been broadcasted, I hope we can ask with our social media and our First Amendment auditors and our civilian journalists to take in consideration what you're putting out there on the social media, because it can be devastating it's devastating when somebody knocks at your door to tell you something like this, but to hear about it on social media, I'm just asking for people to be considerate in the most significant of injuries and times. So,
Federal apparatus, I'm wondering what the White House has committed to in the FBI and Homeland Security, but
we had helicopters and personnel on the ground probably within the hour.
also in follow-up to that, this is obviously going to hit our community incredibly hard. It already has. I know, again, it's early. What can we do for the families? Will there be a memorial fund set up? Will there be some sort of way that we can, as a community, come together to support them? Because this is a devastating loss, and people want to put that emotion somewhere.
Yeah, we're grieving as an organization, and I can speak for Wildfire as well. So a lot of those steps have not been completely brought to fruition, especially with it being a weekend. We know that the Red and Blue Foundation and Anchor Coffee has already offered to do a lot of the donation collection, and we appreciate that. They've been a great supporter of law enforcement and fire, and they'll continue to be a good partner for us. So that's where I would initially encourage people to seek to provide some support for the families.
Can you say what
I'd like to add,
is doing?
until a press release comes out by these two agencies, do not give money to a entity that says they're representing these people. They will put out a press release with the information, whether it's going to be an account at a bank or an account at another entity, but we will likely have some people that will try to scam based on this tragedy. So do not give money to any entity until a press release is released. Is that fair to say? On where exactly to give this money.
Can you say, sorry, what you're doing for your firefighters right now, just because I know that this is not.
I would say it's very early on. They're just processing this right now. So they're in shock. So is that a fair statement?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say let's give it a day or two, and
We have mobilized peer support groups from all over the region for our people, and so that is something we've already put in place. But like Sheriff has said, we don't know exactly all the extent of what we're going to need to do for our people just yet.
I did get information that some Black Hawk helicopters were also committed, and that we needed to go.
The Idaho National Guard was prepared to provide a Black Hawk should we need one.
It's better.
To your knowledge, is there any special significance to either June 29th or to the mountain that is happening?
No.
Is there any information you have on when the firefighters were shot at to begin with? Was it when they were actively fighting, or was it when they first arrived?
At approximately 1,400 hours.
Okay.
Because
there a potential for this situation to shift policy or add policies to the fire department anyway? I know you guys said earlier that it's really early. But
So, as a rule, you know, what's predictable is preventable. In this situation, I'm just not sure how it could have possibly been predicted. So it's really hard to policy that out, but we will be doing a complete review.
You know, you can anticipate or expect some of these things to occur in a urban setting. You can. I've seen it myself. However, in a rural setting, this is very, very, very rare in a rural setting. I mean, I've never seen it. Seen it many times in an urban setting. I have not seen it in a rural setting. Yes, sir. Well, you got the last question. Lucky you.
How involved were the firefighters in battling this blaze when they arrived there? Was it pretty immediate that these shots rang out, or were they dousing it with water?
Do you know what time they arrived on scene?
My understanding is that they were doing a reconnaissance on the fire initially, and that there actually was not any active firefighting at that point. So it was right early on in the incident.
And there was only one fire. I know that there was, misinformation out there that there were multiple fires started, but it was just the one fire.
Correct.
With the Kootenai Fire, can you spell your name for me? I'm so sorry.
My last name is Holley, Holley.
The Idaho State Police is handling the officer-involved shooting aspect of this investigation. If you have any questions to them, or our commissioner, the chairman of the board, Bruce Mattardi, or if you'd like to say anything.
My name is Bruce Mattardi. I am the chairman of the board of the county commissioners in Kootenai County. First, I want to extend my most sincerest condolences to the loved ones of the firemen we lost today. I give my prayers to those injured and fighting for their lives. What happened was senseless and tragic beyond words. I also want to highlight the incredible rapid response from Sheriff Norris and his office, and how they rallied quickly with surrounding law enforcement agencies at the local, state, and federal level, and that includes outside the state in Washington. They quickly contained the suspect and prevented him from further harm to others. The response was phenomenal. June 29, 2025 is a day that we will not forget in this community. It is the day evil showed its face, and we lost two outstanding professionals of the highest quality. And I cannot fathom why anyone would commit such a heinous act. This kind of senseless violence is unheard of here, as the sheriff had mentioned. This is not who we are as a community. And when you hear how others portray the people who live here on the news, it's not true. What happened here decades ago is not reflective of fine people who live here today. And I want everyone to know that this is a wonderful place to live, to raise your family, and visit. It is a place that is comprised of caring and considerate people who look out for each other. And we, this community, will look out for those who are grieving from this tragic loss of their loved ones today. And I ask that the people watching allow time for this community to heal from this unbelievable loss. And that I also want to thank the fact that the resources are here and that they've been made available at the state level to support our local law enforcement and even at the federal level. It just was an outstanding response. And Sheriff Norris and his office deserve all the credit for that. So thank you.
You look like you had one more.
I had one more,
All
yeah.
right.
You said Washington and Idaho, of course, responded, but I thought I saw mutual aid license plates from Montana. Can you comment at all about if Montana delivered any mutual aid?
I believe Montana was on scene also, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, one more, just real quick, are there any evacuations planned for the fire?
At this time, no, but I encourage you, if you haven't signed up for Kootenai Alerts, to make sure that we sign up for Kootenai Alerts. And that is the best way. We did send out an alert for people to shelter in place at this time, if you're in that impacted area. So Kootenai Alerts